When I was in high school, it seemed like everybody had a Honda Civic Hatchback. They were cheap to buy and easy to work on, leaving a whole generation to go all fast and furious with shameful mods. And then they disappeared, leaving a big gap in Honda's lineup. But now that we're a little bit older and hopefully a little bit wiser and need a grown-up car that's still fun and not too grown up, Honda's hoping to tap into our nostalgia by bringing back the Civic Hatch. But enough talk. Let's take a closer look at what the 2017 Honda Civic Hatchback has to offer. Okay, let's get right to the good stuff. The only engine available in this new Civic Hatch is the 1.5-liter turbocharged engine that was introduced on the 10th generation Civic that came out in 2015. And it can finally be paired with a 6-speed manual gearbox. I spent the first day in the Civic Hatch with the CVT, and it's still a CVT. It's got that rubber bandy effect. It's not very linear when you accelerate. It's kind of a little bit jerky even at times. It's not the best, it's not the worst either, but it's not the transmission I would choose. The transmission I would choose is this 6-speed manual. It's not perfect. The clutch is really, really light. The shifter is incredibly light. It's actually one of the lightest I've ever used, and it shocked me a little bit when I got in this thing. But once you get the hang of it, it's actually pretty nice. It's smooth, it shifts well. Whether you know what you're doing or not, you can figure it out pretty quickly. I'd say it's a pretty good transmission if you're just figuring out how to use 3 pedals, or if you're a veteran and you're looking to get some extra mileage on the highway on your commute to work. It kind of does a little bit of everything. It's not sporty, it's not weighted the way you'd want for more spirited driving, but it's still a pretty nice gearbox. And lest we forget, this is the one we were asking for. This is the 6-speed manual with the turbocharged engine. It's a lot more responsive than the 2-liter. It just feels like it was the fit all along. So how does it drive? Well, to be honest with you, this is about the best handling of the 3 Civics on the market today. Between the sedan, which drives like a sedan, and the coupe, which doesn't quite drive as sporty as a coupe should, this thing kind of hits all the marks. I mean, it's nice and agile, it's nimble. We're out here on some pretty twisty roads, and it stays pretty well composed through corners. It also features something called a variable steering ratio. So what that does is at low speeds, it means the steering is nice and light, it's easy to maneuver. When you're in parking lots, it's a little easier on you. When you're at higher speeds and you want to drive a little more aggressively, the steering firms up quite a bit, so it feels a little bit more responsive. And truthfully, it's done very, very well. I mean, I've driven cars with variable steering ratios, and this is one of the better executed, especially in this price bracket. Another thing that stands out driving the new Civic Hatch is just how quiet the cabin is. It's honestly one of the quietest in the segment and even beyond. I mean, there are mid-size sedans out there that don't offer this level of cabin quietness. The cabin of the Civic Hatch is also pretty roomy. I mean, I'm a pretty tall guy, about 6'4", and as you can see, I still have plenty of headroom in here with the seat cranked up pretty high so I get a nice commanding view of the road. Elsewhere inside, if you've seen a Civic sedan or coupe, the hatch is going to look awful familiar, and that's not a bad thing. It's really well laid out, clean lines, really bright display. The advent of the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto era means no more CD player, and that's not such a big deal. It's got Bluetooth audio, it's got USB ports, no auxiliary port, but no big deal. One thing I don't like about this stereo system, however, is the lack of a physical volume knob. Instead, it's got this stupid touchpad next to the screen. It's not horrible for the driver because you have this button on the steering wheel, but if you're in the passenger seat, it's a bit of a problem to reach across and be tapping at this screen, especially when you're going over bumps and your hands flying all over the place. I just wish they would bring back a volume knob. As much as the Civic's cabin features a clean layout, there's not a whole lot in here in terms of soft touch materials. Plenty of hard plastic on the door panels, the dash, even the steering wheel isn't the best feeling out there. Same goes for the seats. The cloth feels kind of cheap. The seats are pretty supportive. There's bolsters to keep you in place, but they're not great. Just like virtually every other vehicle in the Honda lineup, the Civic Hatch can be fitted with the Honda Sensing suite of safety features. That means things like forward collision warning, lane keep assist, adaptive cruise control, you name it. It's a pretty impressive package for a compact car. Around back, the Civic Hatch gets a pretty big trunk with close to 26 cubic feet of storage space behind the rear seats. It also benefits from a nice and wide opening that makes loading and unloading larger items a breeze. But the coolest feature back here has to be the privacy cover. It comes in two pieces, one that attaches to the tailgate and the other one that's about the size of a 3-hole punch. The coolest part about it is it attaches to the side of the rear cargo area and pulls across like a curtain. And it covers just about anything you'd want to hide back here. You can't see it from outside the car. But the best part is, it's always going to be in the car with you so that it's there when you need it. The Honda Civic Hatch is finally back, and all I can say is it's about time. No, it's not the one I remember from my youth, but that's not a bad thing. And for those craving a bit more performance, the Civic Type R should be available just in time for your next high school reunion.